Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Hyundai, home of the Kona electric vehicle, an electric heart with an SUV soul. Test drive yours today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm Loving It, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on Primetime, session concludes with lawmakers approving finance plans for a new correctional facility and hospital complex. Plus, we get a closer look at Guam Memorial Hospital's Incident Command System. And we get a live update from the National Weather Service on just how much rain we can expect over the next few days.
Hafiday and good evening. Senators have approved the financing plans for a massive new hospital complex and a state-of-the-art prison facility. They committed Gov Guam to spending more than $1 billion over the next 30 years to pay for what they all agreed were long overdue improvements. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Senator Joe San Augustine was the main sponsor of both measures, the Guam 21st Century Healthcare Center and the Department of Corrections Modernization Act.
Madam Speaker, we are no longer kicking the can down the road while these bills are just the start. We must stay focused on ensuring the movement of these projects, keeping in sight what will help keep our people safe and healthy. We always say our community's health and safety is priority, and tonight we are making this statement a fact.
The bills passed unanimously, and Minority Leader Chris Duenas offered colleagues a bipartisan pat on the back.
I want to congratulate this body, because as far as I'm concerned, Madam Speaker, it is this body who has spoken on the priorities. We ask now for the executive branch to continue to execute those responsibilities.
The medical campus, which will also house public health and behavioral health and wellness, is a project that Governor Lulian Guerrero has been pushing for. But Speaker Therese Terlahi urges Adelup to keep senators and the public in the loop.
I believe the legislature needs to remain diligent in demanding transparency in all aspects of the procurement and the construction of this hospital and medical facilities, in obtaining the land, and in the best use of the federal funding that's available to Guam. That requires laying down the potential uses of the federal funds, laying down the ARP spending plan for the government of Guam.
The projects will be funded from the estimated $60 million Guam will save in federal reimbursement of earned income tax credits, previously an unfunded mandate. $35 million a year for the medical complex, $5 million for the prison. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
If you're still waiting on a payment from one of the government assistance programs, be patient. Rev and Tax is working overtime to get them out. Director Daphne Shimizu says in the last 2 weeks of September alone, they processed some $59 million.
And that was between, EIP3, All Rise program payments, advanced child tax credit payments, and refunds. And that was just from, I think, the second week of September until just last week, that's September 30. So we're really processing a lot of payments. Of course, it's been hugely important to our administration to try to get payments out to our people as quickly as possible.
$32 million has been processed in All Rise payments. That's $2 million more than the original cap, but Shimizu's not sure where the extra money came from. She says there are still about 3,000 claims in suspense status, which our review committee is sorting through. Meanwhile, Shimizu says there have been some problems with some of the electronic deposits for the advanced child tax credit, so they processed paper checks.
So if you had a issue with your direct deposit from September 10, and that is the reason why you didn't receive a payment, is because of your direct deposit issue from September 10. Our team in the last week did process payments for those, so those should be going out as well in this week.
She says the recent issues are now mostly resolved, and she believes direct deposits are still the best way to get paid. And in part 4 of our Behind the Frontline series, we learn more about the Incident Command System and the heroic efforts at our public hospital. Jeffrey Ventura is second in line in the Incident Command System at the Guam Memorial Hospital.
In any emergency, whether typhoon, pandemic, like now, when the hospital is an emergency, we stand up what they call the Hospital Incident Command System or structure, with the incident commander being first Ms. Lillian.
They've been at the front line since March of last year.
So knowing what we know now, we are more prepared, more experienced and on what to request knowing what the government agency's limitations are, because the KUAM pandemic plan will only work if it's realistic. However, we're finding shortfalls, so therefore we cover the shortfalls and we move on.
Moving on still means holding the line, especially when healthcare workers are busier than ever.
So we want to kind of batch our interventions together, so when you go in the room, you do a lot of things at one time. So you want to avoid unnecessary people coming in and out as much as possible, just to lessen the risk.
Healthcare workers constantly assessing the risk.
So this is what the nurses station looks like. If you can see to the right over there, all patients are on a cardiac monitor. First to your right, we're watching their cardiac rhythms.
Frontliners keeping watch and holding the line. Stay tuned for the rest of the series through this week's primetime newscast. And Guam has reached a grim milestone last night as the island reported 6 more COVID-19 related fatalities. This brings the total to 204 COVID-related deaths since March of last year. With the arrival of the booster shots, residents like Billy Wong now have an added layer of protection. Wong, who was one of many who lined up today at the UOG Cabo Fieldhouse to receive the Pfizer booster.
Hey, good shot. That's done. The booster shot is the best, and I hope that this devil will be away as soon, so the island can back to normal, because now no tourists coming in, Everybody is suffering. When we get it, it's got safe for everybody, safe for the island, safe for my family, and also my friend. I think that's just a plus for us.
The UOG vaccination clinic is open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. To make an appointment for your booster shot, you can go to tinyurl.com/vaxguam. And despite medical and religious exemption forms having been out for more than a week, close to 200 forms have been submitted and are still waiting for approval. The medical exemption forms are still being reviewed by Public Health's interim Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Robert Leon Guerrero. On Monday, PIO Janela Carrera confirmed Public Health received 11 more religious exemption forms. Again, no religious or medical exemptions have been approved or denied. We were told to expect increased rain, showers, and thunderstorms by tomorrow. Our Tyler Matanani is in Tizan at the National Weather Service, standing by live with the very latest. Tyler?
Hafa everyone. Tyler Matanani reporting to you from the National Weather Service office. Now, if you haven't realized, it has been a very gloomy day. In fact, the past couple of weeks have been that way because we are in rainy season. Joining me today is NWS Warning Coordination Meteorologist Landon Idolet. Landon, the NWS issued a flood advisory this morning that was in effect till 10 a.m. Can you please tell Guam residents what we can expect for the rest of the week?
Yeah, definitely we're going to see much of the same. We're definitely in the heart of the wet, rainy season right now. We have a monsoon setting up across western Micronesia. That's going to be all coming our way in the next several days. So we're going to have a lot more rainy weather for the next several days with locally heavy rainfall. So the urban and small stream flood advisory we had earlier this morning for central Guam, we may see more of that in the coming days as rainfall is still expected to fall across the island. There is potential for flash flood warnings if the conditions warrant that. So stay up to date on the latest weather forecast and information.
Okay, and what areas of the island can we expect to get the most flooding?
Yeah, definitely in the common areas, low-lying and creekside areas that have flash flood problems like Maritza, Barcenas housing area. That's a common area. Maritza, also parts of Jigo that are prone to flooding. Street flooding, Marine Corps Drive, when you have these heavy downpours, that water fills up in the streets, especially the outer lanes, and it fills up rapidly. So the grounds right now are very saturated because we've had so much rainfall in recent days. Anytime we have a quick downpour, that could quickly overrun the soils and cause running water on the streets.
All right. And I think one of the important questions I have for you too is what is your go-to wet weather kind of food?
Always coffee and steak and eggs. My gosh, we were just talking about Linda's. If we had Linda's or King's, best steak and eggs on the island.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here from the man himself, Landon Idolet. Thank you so much. Tyler Matanani, back to you in studio.
Thank you for that, Tyler. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are up and running again after going dark for several hours today. The mysterious worldwide outage came amid harsh new scrutiny for Facebook over both its business practices and its ethics. Bradley Blackburn reports.
Facebook and its associated apps like Instagram are back online after an unprecedented outage on Monday.
This is a global outage. This is across the earth.
The social media giant's services were down for about 6 hours, locking out its billions of users and reportedly even some of its own employees.
Could be a hacktivist that is trying to make a statement. I find it very hard to believe that this is just a typical outage, especially when it's taken down in such a large scale.
Facebook's chief technology officer apologized for the disruption, which he attributed to networking issues.
I am cautious to assign any kind of malicious activity to these things because a lot of times, more often than not, it turns out that there was an internal slip up.
The outage came at a crucial time for Facebook. On Tuesday, a Senate subcommittee will hear from product manager turned whistleblower Frances Haugen.
Facebook over and over again chose to optimize for its own interests, like making more money.
She says Facebook knew its platforms were being used to spread misinformation, but did little to stop it because controversial content drove user engagement. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Once again, we invite you to voice your view on our social media pages with our daily question. Today, we ask you about that story, how this morning's Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram outage impacted you. We'll share responses with Chris and Bree on The Link tomorrow. Stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
Get up to the minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Home, a place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home.
Home. It's more than wood, square footage, and a floor plan. It's where life happens, and moments become etched into memories. At Bank of Hawaii, we're proud to help families all across Guam buy and improve their home. Applying takes just a few moments, but the memories last a lifetime. Simplified by Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow.
Pizza Hut's Detroit-style pizza is back. Same crispy crust, cheese all the way to the edge, and the sauce still on top. Okay, now I'm hungry. The Detroit-style pizza. Create your own or pick from 3 signature recipes. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
100% truck, 100% Jeep. Experience next-level off-roading on your new Jeep Gladiator, the most capable off-road midsize pickup truck crafted for adventure, equipped with best-in-class towing capacity, legendary 4x4 Jeep capability, and backed by Guam's only lifetime powertrain warranty. Drive home in a 2021 Jeep Gladiator today, starting as low as $315 per paycheck during Jeep Adventure Days. Visit CarsPlusGuam.com to get pre-approved online today. Terms and conditions apply. Cars Plus, driven by you.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
In a bipartisan handshake, Democrats from Guam and the Northern Marianas comment on the appointment of Will Castro as the CNMI Office of the Governor's Chief of Staff. Here's more.
Former Senator Will Castro has formed many relationships with leaders in the CNMI and across the Pacific, and I have worked with him, and he's knowledgeable about the issues we face in the Marianas.
Party members from both sides of the aisle on Guam and Saipan expressing their support for the appointment of Castro as Governor Torres' chief of staff. It comes at a time when CNMI Democrats, which includes Babauta, wage a legislative investigation into the administration's spending, casting some skepticism on the celebration.
I can only speak to my support of his appointment. And yes, JGO hearings are still ongoing. And yes, I am supportive of the JGO committee and our chairwoman. And I am well aware of the ongoing FBI investigations on Governor Torres. And while we will allow that work to continue and that process to unfold, there's still a lot of work to be done in the Marianas. And so it will be in the best interest of the CNMI to have this position filled.
Those interests also reaching the rest of our region. In a letter to Castro Monday evening, Guam Vice Speaker Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes congratulates him and says she wants to collaborate closely, especially on economic solutions for Guam and the NMI. As we've reported, GOP Chair Juan Carlos Benitez expressed hope that Castro would run for senator on Guam, which would likely conflict with his time and work on Saipan. It's unclear if Castro will remain in the Torres administration if the CNMI governor wins re-election next year. And phone calls coming into the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center 24/7 crisis hotline are soaring through the roof. GBHWC Director Teresa Arreola acknowledged the increase and attributes the high volume of phone calls to the rise in COVID-19 cases and COVID-related deaths on the island. In July, the department received 711 calls. In August, it jumped to 910, and in September, it rose by over 100 calls to 1,028.
Line is steadily busy, I should say. I think that's a perfect, steadily busy, and that's okay because that's what the department is here for. We're here to answer those calls whenever somebody needs to talk to somebody. We encourage everybody to please use the crisis hotline. You're not alone. We're all in this together, literally feeling everything that each other's feeling about the fears and the anxiety. So you are not alone, and you don't have to work through your feelings and the stresses in life that COVID has compounded alone. Please call our crisis hotline at 647-8833.
Behavioral Health reported that pre-COVID, they received an estimated 30 calls per month. State memorial services were held today for former Inalahan Mayor Doris Flores Lujan. The lifelong village resident served 2 terms from 2013 to 2021 before choosing to retire and not seek re-election. Before becoming mayor, she worked for many years in the federal government. Local leaders joined Lujan's family and friends in paying last respects. Joaquin Taitagui delivered the eulogy.
Doris was truly a daughter of the South. She was a selfless woman who was always willing to help others in need. Doris was compassionate in a way that was oftentimes motherly, for that's probably how Doris saw herself, as the mother of the village and the community, her children.
Former Mayor Lujan passed away on September 22nd. She was 74. Recent action by a local pesticide company isn't flying with Guam EPA, prompting the agency to issue a notice of violation.
A complaint prompts Guam EPA investigators to flock to Tamuning.
What they discovered was a pesticides applicator who was feeding birds.
The area in question turned into a drop zone.
They counted at least a dozen dead birds in the area, so that raised some concerns for that individual.
Guam EPA spokesperson Nick Lee says upon further gander, it was determined a Noka Oy employee was responsible for the foul play.
So the investigation by the agency yielded that the individual was mixing a rodenticide, bird pesticide, rice, and adobo juice and feeding the birds.
According to the NOV report, it was in July Noka Oy was hired to conduct pesticide services in the area for ants and roaches. While a technician was on lunch, he noticed a man driving by in an SUV who gave him what he felt was an offensive and belittling look. Apparently, that was enough to ruffle his feathers and mixed a concoction of regulated chemicals, Avitrol, and First Strike soft bait with his leftover lunch to feed it to the birds.
One of their pesticide techs was found in violation of a few things. One, misuse, transport. You do have to be certified to use these things, to mix them and to transport them. And because of the level of pesticides being used, there also has to be a level of supervision over handling these pesticides. And
Noka Oy listed the number of birds affected by the, quote, gross negligence of one of their technicians as 13, 7 pigeons, 5 sparrows, and 1 chichirica. The company was assessed a penalty of $2,000. It can either pay the fine or file an appeal. Guam EPA took into consideration that Noka Oy does not have any prior records of pesticide violations, and the death of the birds was the cause of a spontaneous reaction of an employee. According to Guam EPA, however, this case should serve as a warning to anyone trying to duck the law.
The company and any other company in this field of work, keeps watch over that, over their staff and over their certifications.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Sabrina Salas, Matanani.
A week dedicated to the ones who protect and serve our community will start on Friday. KUAM's Hannah Devanzo has this report.
Police Week is October 8 through 16. This first event is on a Friday, and police welcome the community to join in.
This Friday, we are going to be celebrating Police Week by kicking off with a proclamation signing. It's going to be done virtually. It's going to be done by the governor commemorating the start of Police Week.
Police Week is not only to recognize those currently serving in law enforcement, but it is also an opportunity to remember and honor the island's fallen officers.
It's very important to us and it's very significant to us here in the Guam Police Department, not just the Guam Police Department, but all law enforcement agencies that call Guam home. As we commemorate and celebrate the many lives that were lost, and we pay tribute to the sacrifice that was made by those that were serving in the front line, not just in the Guam Police Department, but other law enforcement agencies, to include our local and our federal.
On October 14th, individuals under the Guam Police Department will be recognized and celebrated.
As we celebrate our Police Officer of the Year, our civilian support staff, and those that were nominated and have received the Distinguished Award of being nominated for Civilian of the Year, Civilian Employee of the Year, Manager of the Year, Unit Citation, and of course Police Officer of the Year.
Other events include a virtual memorial and candlelight ceremony on October 16, honoring officers who lost their life in the line of duty. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Hannah Devanzo.
Thank you, Hannah. Sports is up next with Dave Delgado, and still more to come. Your Coastal Creamery birthday shoutouts. Keep it here. You're watching KUAM.